Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So as you guys can tell, I have new hair, new era guys, new hair, new me. I layered it, I did it myself. Obviously it's French curl braids with a little bit of highlights, to kind of like, spring, but in Canada here it snowed again. So I guess it's not spring. I wanted to do this video. It's going to be a very, very quick video, honestly. I say that every video. I say every video is going to be a quick video, but honestly, I'm actually hoping this video is a quick video. It's not really a video I wanted to address, but it's going to be a video I'm going to address. I feel like it's a topic that sparks a lot of debate, even amongst Black people. Sparks a lot of debate and a lot of different opinions, a lot of different facts from a lot of different places. So I definitely saw a video on TikTok that I honestly just finished filming my reaction to, like my reply to. And I was like, I need to educate myself on this to speak about this because I feel like it's not true. I feel like a lot of the times people will see something on TikTok that they disagree with and just straight up try to reply to them. No, like sometimes it's good to take a step back, educate yourself on the topic, and then come back to a reply. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And I just figured I did a lot of research on this, so I might as well just speak about it while I'm at it. And I also I have a doc of it here, and I'm going to be looking at it as I'm speaking to you guys because it's not something I've memorized. So the topic is about Afrocentrism. So the video I saw, I hope I'm not quoting it wrong, but essentially the woman was basically saying that Afrocentrism originated by Black Americans, and it was for Black Americans for them to be able to connect to their tradition and their ancestors. And she was basically saying that the earthy girl style that's really popular on TikTok, so you guys have seen it on TikTok or Pinterest, earthy girl style or earthy girl aesthetic is not like, she was saying y'all don't dress like that over there, so I assume she was addressing herself to Africans, like Africans don't dress like the earthy girl style where they are. But yeah, she was saying like it was created by Black Americans for Black Americans. And basically my reply on TikTok, the first thing I started by saying was that saying that Afrocentrism was created by Black Americans for Black Americans is just, first of all, an oversimplification of the term. To give a background history, so Afrocentrism was officially like coined. The term was officially articulated in the 1980s by someone called Molefi Kete. I hope I'm not butchering the name. He was the one that officially coined the term. However, the term has deeper origins. So the term was greatly inspired by Caribbean, African diaspora, and it was inspired as well as movements such as Ethiopianism, Pan-Africanism, Negritude as well. And essentially like these movements were like essentially like Ethiopianism is like a movement, it's like a religious movement that like sought to kind of like include more Africanism within religion, within Christianity. And Pan-Africanism is kind of like saying that all Africans too should be united through what they have in common, and they should celebrate themselves more than just through other things, such as like political expression, cultural expression, etc. So Afrocentrism was like, it has a lot of contribution from a lot of very big figures such as Marcus Garvey, and he was Jamaican, and he essentially promoted the idea of African diaspora. We also have Léopold Senghor, which is un francophone. Je parle français, so I'll play, but it's a francophone who is from Senegal, and he basically like really helped create a name for the term as well. And we also have other members from the Nation of Islam who also advocated for blacks and who also like really promoted that idea, such as Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name as well. I don't know if it's Muhammad or Muhammad, butchering the name. But essentially Afrocentrism was made legitimate in the United States around the 1960s because of the civil rights movement, but it was officially articulated around the 1980s. So as we can see, and I also really narrowed down for my research, like there's several other African, Caribbean figures who really had that contribution, but my research was just narrowed down for just sake of simplicity. You can see that the term of Afrocentrism there was a lot of contributions. There was a lot of different different aspects. There was a lot of figures who really had a say and who really helped to really promote the African diaspora, but it was officially articulated by Black Americans. So obviously, as we can see, it's a really broad spectrum with a lot of complexity in it. So saying, oh yeah, Afrocentrism was created by Black Americans for Black Americans would just be oversimplifying it and kind of like leaving the credit out of all of these other Black figures who really had a say and who really tried to help promote that idea as well. So that's why I looked at the video and I was like, I'm not sure it's right. And she was saying that it doesn't refer to as African style. That's something else I want to address. So first of all, what is Afrocentrism? Afrocentrism is essentially revolving African ideas, African ideology, African diaspora at the center. It was kind of like to oppose Eurocentrism. So Afrocentrism was a term that was created to kind of like liberate themselves, to be for them to be able to express their culture, to express their tradition, to have their political expression, and like I mentioned, it went as far as religion as well, to really be able to express themselves without having to adhere to such standards, to Eurocentric standards. So it was really putting Africa at the front. And yeah, so that's what Afrocentrism is. I'm not saying it's not also for Black Americans. I did make some research about that as well. It goes as far as being also a term that is used for Black Americans nowadays as well. For Black Americans to be able to express themselves, to be able to relate to their culture, because they were also stripped of their culture. They were devalued as well by Americans of European descent. So it's also a term for them to be able to kind of like relate to their culture and traditions. So when I did see that video, it was just an oversimplification, and she also mentioned the earthy. So what is the earthy girl aesthetic? Earthy girl aesthetic, if you search it up on TikTok, if you search it up on Pinterest, you're gonna see Black women who are usually of Black Americans that have long skirts, waist beads. They have different type of shawls. They have like a specific aesthetic, earthy girl aesthetic. They have different type of head wraps, etc. So she was basically saying, y'all don't dress like that over there. Basically, I assume she was referring to the fact that Africans don't dress like earthy girl style. And earthy girl style, I made a bit of research, was officially made popular on TikTok around 2023. However, saying that earthy girl style was created by Black Americans would also just be an oversimplification of a lot of things. So I'm gonna have to look here. So waist beads, I've made some research about that before. Waist beads was created a long time ago, a lot of times before, even before our current times even. It was created in ancient Egypt, where that's where waist beads originate from. So women in the West Africa, North Africa, South Africa, women in Africa have been wearing waist beads for centuries now. So saying that, oh, like, waist beads or you guys don't wear that over there, you guys don't dress like that, is just lack of education and knowledge. I'm not saying she's not educated. I'm just saying that it's just lack of informing yourself, because waist beads have been worn by women in all different parts of Africa for such a long time, especially in the West, because I'm a West African. I know that a lot of like different women in different like countries of the West do wear that, for it signifies fertility, beauty. It's also for a way of women to kind of like control their weight. So it's essentially it's like an honor to be able to wear waist bead. It kind of makes a woman, it adds to her femininity. That's a beauty standard in West Africa, and women would usually wear it under the clothes. So it was usually preserved for personal relationships and for their husband. So it usually wasn't worn on top of clothes. It was usually worn under clothes, kind of like as a, you know. So women in West Africa, women in all parts of Africa have been wearing waist beads for centuries. So that would be just false information. And braids, we all know braids, head wraps, it dates way back in Africa from centuries as well. Quarry shells, different type of shells and beads have also been worn in Africa for such centuries. So it's kind of like the earthy aesthetic can be like a new term, but the parts of the earthy aesthetic and the elements that create that earthy aesthetic aren't new. They all originated from Africa and have been used and worn in Africa for centuries. So I can see how like maybe they inspired themselves from different elements or different things from the African style to make their own style, but saying that it's created by Black Americans and that Africans don't wear that would just be kind of like a disrespect to their culture. And Africans, a lot of people say African style. African style, I don't think is a good way of, just making sure my mic is alive, I don't think is a good way of referring to it at all, because African style would just be, again, an oversimplification, overgeneralization. Africans, there's like 54 if you want to say. Some people say 55, some people say 56. Simplicity, we're just going to say 54. There's 54 countries in Africa, and all of our different countries each have their different styles. Some countries, depending on the region, west, east, south and north, have like similarities in their style, but all different 54 countries do have their different styles, do have the different wear, have their different head wraps, and some of them have similar like elements of wear, but different under different names. So saying, oh, the African style is just overly generalizing a style that's so different, that has so many different varieties, so many different styles, so many different textures. It would just be almost like disrespecting, you know. So she was saying, oh yeah, like it's not the African style. What do you define as being the African style? Like, what do we define as being the African style? Because there isn't one African style. There's many different African styles, there's many different wears. So that's why I was a little also a bit thrown off, because I'm just like, what does she mean African style, you know? What else do I want to say? So yeah, essentially the goal of African cult, it was the goal to really create a unified Black Africa. You know, it was a goal to really unify us. So it was a term to help unify us and help us connect with each other. So Afrocentrism is was a term that was coined by Black Americans, was inspired by different African Caribbean diaspora, inspired by several African figures, several Black American figures, and that was created to put African diaspora at the front, to center it, to oppose themselves against Eurocentric standards. So I just feel like her video was really of oversimplification, and it also came forward as attacking. Obviously, my response in this video was a very calm, educated response, because you guys know how things can get riled up on TikTok so fast. So I didn't want to come in as, oh, this is wrong. No, I just came in with my facts and came in with the research that I personally made. So I think that's all I will be speaking about for this video. If there is ever a reply from her, I will end up addressing it here. Or if there's more, I will end up addressing it here. But I just feel like it's a really sensitive topic, and a lot of the times in the comments, and I also read the comments of that video were just insane. There's a lot of people who just refuse to educate themselves and just think, oh, a video on TikTok is the truth, and just run with it. So a lot of people, a lot of Black Americans in the comments were saying stuff like, oh yeah, that's true, like has nothing to do with Africa, why are we keep mentioning Africa? And it's just like, you just have to search up the meaning of Afrocentrism, right? And it's not because we're the meaning, the original meaning or the regional reason why the Afrocentrism term was put in place because of Africans, or because we wanted to center Africa at the middle of that it means that we're pushing away Black Americans. If anything, it's supposed to unify us, it's supposed to put us together. And like I mentioned, it also served as a reminder and as a preservation of Black American culture, African American culture for African Americans, to help them remind themselves of their ancestors, of their spirituality, of their tradition, of their cultures. It's supposed to be a unifying term for everyone. So just watching people destroy the term and tear us apart, it's just not, because the comments were crazy. And I think the comments is what really pushed me to speak up as well, because I'm an African woman and I'm always going to speak up for my culture, you know, especially if I see that something is really false, I'm going to speak up over it. But that's kind of like what I wanted to address. I hope I get to address this one time, and that's it, because a simple Google search will help a lot of people in the comments help educate themselves more clearly on the topic. It's like a thin line topic. It's really easy to upset people. But yeah, this is all I wanted to do, and this is all I wanted to speak about. If you haven't already purchased or checked out my fragments poetry collection, you should definitely go ahead and check it out. I will definitely be reading a snippets of the poetry collection to give you guys an idea what it's about. But yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you guys also like my hair, because it's new hair, okay? I'll see you guys in another lifetime.